I'm Mike Bradner, and this is Capital Views, and we're talking with Mike Monagle, who is the director of the Workers' Compensation Division for the state, and that's a big item with the business community and also the labor community. Now, Mike, we have a lot of industries in Alaska that are perhaps not the safest. What's the highest rated, employment?
Well, for the premium rates, the ones that pay the highest is the construction industry. I think on average they pay about between 20 and 25%, which means for every $100 on payroll, you're paying $25 in workers' comp premium.
That's a pretty hefty item.
It is a very expensive item.
Causes some controversy when somebody.
Yes.
Now, we also have other occupations that are sort of semi-outdoors, like fish processing and work in the oil patch.
Right.
And how do they fare?
Seafood processing is lower than construction. Actually, commercial fishing is the most dangerous occupation, but in Alaska, they're actually exempt from workers' comp law.
They have their own
fisherman's
fund?
Yes, correct. They have a fisherman's fund.
So they're over there, but the shore-based and the processing workers, a lot of them are out of state. A lot of them are here under the student work visas.
For seafood processing, yes, there are a lot of out-of-state workers that come in during the processing season.
What kind of rates do they pay?
You know, I'm not sure of the exact rate.
Depend on what they're doing.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And do sometimes these workers who are injured, do they just leave the state, or do they?
They do. We have a lot of, I think about 25% of injured workers get treated out of state.
So they may not even file a claim. They just may retreat.
That might happen, yes.
And we don't know about that
Right.
in that case.
Right.
And the most dangerous is our
Commercial
again,
fishing.
You said our
Yes.
commercial fishing,
Yes.
the most dangerous catch.
Right.
And
Right.
you can well understand that. For the employer's point of view, they watch very carefully workers' comp, and every once in a while we'll have an effort towards how do we change this, how do we make it more efficient. And now that we're at the top of what you said previously, 2004, we became number one.
We became number one.
And
we like being number one, but not for that.
What were the other high-ranking states?
Since 2004, we traded back and forth with Montana. 1 year we'd be number one and we'd swap. In 2011, Montana undertook some comprehensive reform, and their workers' comp premium rates the following year were lowered 22%. And in the 2012 premium ranking, they dropped from being number one down to number 8, and they're continuing.
What other states top the list?
The state of Oklahoma actually was in there, and some of the East Coast states, New York and Illinois, were some of the other top states.
The big component now is medical.
It is.
In a state like Oklahoma, I would think, of course, medical costs are cheaper, but the nature of their oil drilling is probably smaller contractors, smaller units, so you may not have as good a safety program.
Well, a couple of the states that Alaska indirectly competes with for resource development, North Dakota, Texas, are at the bottom of the premium ranking. They actually have some of the lower workers' comp premium costs. It is, as you said, it's an item that the State Chamber of Commerce this year identified as one of their top legislative priorities to work on getting our premium rates lowered.
And a lot of that's in safety programs. You indicated
yes,
earlier
that helps.
that the claims rate or the number of claims reported has gone down.
It's gone
dramatically.
down. So what the company that the state contracts with to do the actuarial analysis of our data, National Council on Compensation Insurance, looks at the data, looks at the costs, and then looks at frequency, how often accidents occur. And there's been a declining frequency in our state for over 15 years.
Do we have a special emphasis on safety? Does
We
the
do,
department
we
reach
do,
out to-
yes. The Division of Labor Standards and Safety has a program where an employer can contact the division and ask for an assessment. They have people that come out and do a workplace evaluation, and they've had programs for seafood processors. They have awards they give employers for safety programs.
Can they act on their own initiative, or it's usually
They can.
by invitation?
They can, but mostly by invitation, yes.
And they're working, you know, these safety programs, I mean, they're hard. I mean, there's a real emphasis you see on the job, you know, so many days, you know, without an injury, and an effort to call it to the really upfront with the worker. And is that something that's pushed by the department? I mean,
Oh, absolutely,
you,
yes.
you see
Yeah.
in their rates that reflect that.
We do. I mean, that it helps. I mean, the unfortunate thing is that we've been doing a great job as a state, and kudos to Alaska's employers for being safety conscious, but that hasn't kept us out of being number one. And you know, I come back to the big challenge is how do we address medical costs?
Mike, we're out of time, and I'm Mike Bradner. This has been Capital Views, and we've been talking to Mike Monagle, who's the director of the Workers' Compensation Program for the state. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.